Game of Thrones Season 8 major villain exposed, and it may not be who you would expect. TV and RA. Fans on Reddit have been speculating on Daenerys Targaryen, played by Emilia Clarke, emerging as the major villain of Season 8, and their logic makes perfect sense. She is not the most obvious choice for the villain, and if the history of the hit show is anything to go by, that would make her the perfect villain in a series that has had so many twists and turns. One Reddit user explains what a Game of Thrones villain needs to be both.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.